Imagine stepping into a whimsical night circus. Glowing lanterns, cozy little houses, a golden tent under a dreamy moonlit sky. What if you could paint this magical world yourself? In this tutorial, I'll guide you step by step through creating this enchanting night circus scene. You'll learn how to paint a glowing night sky, add twinkling lights with watercolor and ink, and capture that whimsical charm in every detail. Grab your paints and let's bring the night circus to life together. Hello everyone. Today we are going to be making a very fun painting that I am calling the Night Circus. And you'll see what I mean when we get to the end of this video. So grab your pencil and let's get started. I'm using 140-pound watercolor paper with some taped down with some washi tape and just a dollar store pencil. You might want an eraser. And yeah, we're going to start with the bottom of the ground, which will be the ground. I'm going to have another little line underneath it there, which will be, I want some sort of dimension to the ground, not just a line. And I'm going to leave about an inch or so on each side. So that way, if I wanted to frame this, I can do that without interrupting the painting. So we've got our ground in, and we're going to start with our main tent here, which will be a circus tent. And we're going to do a flag on the top like that. We're going to do a curved line for the top of the tent, and then we're just going to bring this down like so. And then we're going to have the opening of the tent, and we're going to put the tent lines in here. These don't really have to be even or anything like that. We'll just fill them in however the stripes will go. And then we do the same thing for the bottom part of the tent. And we'll just do a little bit of a thicker line there to distinguish the opening of the tent. And let's do a tree right behind this tent. Oops. I don't want it to touch that. So we'll just do that. And we'll just put some of the tree, bulk of the tree in some round circular shapes like that. We're going to do a couple of the tree branches, and we'll just pull it down like that. And this will be the trunk. And let's put some extra branches here. So you can just make those come out a little bit towards the bottom of the line on the other side. So that way they look like real branches. And we'll bring those down like that. And there we go. We have our whimsical looking tree. You can make it a little bit, come out a little bit more here like that if you don't quite like the shape. And next we're going to have another circus building over here. And this is just going to be sort of not a tent. And we'll put another flag here. And we are going to pop the bird on the top here, on top of the tent, on the flagpole. And window there, door, and another window. And then we'll just put some bushes down here and have some behind there, because this will be out in the either in the middle of a field or a forest, where they don't usually set them up in forests, but they'll set them up in the middle of a field. Okay, next we're going to put in a light right here. A lamp post. And I like to make them thinner. I have more of a whimsical feel that way. Okay, and we will put in and a few more bushes back here. And right over here, we'll have one more building. Let's see if we can bring that up a little bit here. One more building here. And bring that down. We'll put a few steps here into the building. A door. And we'll just have a sign up here, and that's going to say enter. And we'll do whimsical window there and the top part of the building. All right, so what I'd like to sort of connect these buildings together will be some strands of lights. So I'm just going to draw some circles here, and we will do some to the lamppost, and then some to this building here, and the circus tent, and then we'll have some string across to the flagpole here. And one other thing, we're going to draw in some bunting. That's gonna connect to the tree there. Can't have a circus without some bunting. There. And we're going to have, you guys had said that you'd liked the circle from one of my previous landscape paintings. So what I'm going to do is not quite a circle, but it's going to be a ovalish shape. And we're going to actually, before we complete that oval, we're going to put in a whimsical moon. And then this oval shape back here is going to be our, now we don't want it to go quite that far, because if we wanted a frame, we want some space there. So I'm just gonna maybe tie it to about that far there. Have the flag sticking past that, and then have that come down there. Okay, so that is our sketch. And the next thing we're going to do is the painting part of it. Okay, so the very first thing that I'm going to do is fill in our background here with a night sky sort of blue. And I'm going to start with, I'm using cobalt blue, lemon yellow, and permanent red. I'm going to lay some of the cobalt blue down on the palette. And I think I'm going to want a fair bit of this mixed up. So I just have some red here that I'm just going to mix into it also, because I'm going for a kind of dark blue with a touch of purple in it for the sky. There we go. And just to make sure that that is the color that I want, I'm going to test it out on some scrap watercolor paper. And that's good. I do actually want it a little bit lighter than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down a wash of water first, and then I'm going to add that in there so that will turn out lighter when it dries, because I want the buildings and the tree to be actually darker than the night sky, because they're closer in the foreground. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to lay in some water here and take out the brush hair here that fell. There we go. Off the brush. And try not to fill in the moon with the water. I want that to be a very kind of white. I'm going to keep some of the white there, and then I want to put some yellow in, a very light yellow for the moon color. All right, and I'm using dirty water from my previous painting here, but it won't matter too much since I'm going to fill that in with blue. And I'm working relatively faster than I normally would. I'm in my art studio bunkie outside. I have the windows open for some fresh air, and it tends to dry out the water and the paint quicker because we are still in summer and it's been quite dry and hot this year. So I just need to re-wet this here because that already dried on me. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this blue and put that in to my sky. You can make it a little darker near the edges. And if you want an indication of some night clouds or such, you can just leave some of the white gaps there and it'll look like there's clouds streaking across the sky. All right, so I have to do this quicker. I'm gonna add some more water to my painting. And I'll add some closer to the bottom, darker closer to the bottom here. And this we might keep, might want a little bit of a glow for the lantern there, so I might add some yellow to that. I'll make up a little bit more of this blue. Go. And that's a little more purple than this other part here, so I'm just gonna put some in the other part of the sky so it's balanced. And a little bit here where the tree limbs are showing through. And put some more down here. Okay, and you can work at this a little slower if you're inside and your paints aren't drying so quickly. Okay, and that purple there. And if you want your glow from your lantern to be really noticeable, then you would put some more dark around this area. So that way it will be more of a contrast. So I'm just going to add a little bit more of this dark to that area there. Because I do want that to look like a glow. Okay, that's good. And add a little more around to the edges. Because I think I want to put some stars in here after this dries with my white acrylic paint pen. And that bleed out into that. A little bit more dark down here. And just blend that out a little. Okay, we'll try that. And now, while we're waiting for that to dry, I am going to plan out the colors for the rest of the painting. I'll get back to you in a second after this is dry. So this is dry now, and I'm going to work on the moon a little bit here, just with a bit of yellow, I think on each end of it here. Just super light wash of yellow. So actually what I'm doing is I'm just getting some yellow on my brush. I'm going to rinse most of that out, and then I'll have a very diluted yellow here that I can add to each end of the moon. Like so. And I'll just push a little bit of that away because I kind of want some of that white to still be there. All right, so we'll try that. Next, we're going to go with a darker version of this blue for the building, this building and this building and the tree, because this is at night, so this is going to look black or like a very dark blue, and it won't look like green in the nighttime. So that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to take some more of my blue and some of the red to make it darker. It's like a dark purple. And I need more blue in there. And a bit more of the red. All right, so I've got my blue, my purple, and now I need to make that darker. So I'm just adding more of the blue to it. So we've got a darker blue. Now, if you want to sort of tone that down a little bit, you can add a bit of the yellow to it. Which gives us then a blue-green. But I want it to be a little bit more bluer than that. So I'm going to add some more blue to it. And that will get us maybe the color that I'm looking for. I'm going to test this out on a piece of paper. Yeah, so that's like an indigo color. So adding that yellow actually got rid of some of that purple-ish color. It toned it down, and that is the color that I want. So we're good. So we're going to add some water to the tree first. And we're going to fill that in. And I'm gonna add more of that dark to it. Now, because the moon is shining over here, actually our highlight section is going to be on this side of the tree. So our shadow section is going to be on this side of the tree, on the right side. I usually do things, the shadows, that's almost automatic for me. I do them on the left side now. So that's why you saw me put that in before I even thought about where my light source was going to be or is. And we're going to make this side lighter. So we're going to leave that light and we're going to do the side darker. Add more of that paint over on the right side. And we can always go back after this is dried and add another layer. So the trunk is actually going to be the same color because it is nighttime. And again, the left side of the trunk is going to be lighter than the right side. And you can always leave little patches of white there too to indicate that there's some light shining on the tree. And we will add a little bit more here on the right, but we're going to come back and put the shadow on this after it's dried. And then we're going to do this building and this building in that color as well. And then we'll add our shadows when that first layer has dried. Okay, I'm gonna have to mix some more of that up. And add this here. This one, the moon's almost directly overhead of this building here. So if there's going to be a highlight, it's going to be on the top part here, which we can do with our white paint or a white paint pen later on. And I'll just do that as a shadow as the same building color as well there. We can differentiate that when we're inking. I'm going to lay in the ground with the same color. And I think even we will do the bushes and the shrubs behind there in the same color also, but I just need to mix up a little bit more of it because I ran out. We could do them at, a darker purple or something like that also. And add some more blue. And a little bit more of the red. And I know it looks like I'm sort of defeating everything that I just mixed there, but you'll find when you're mixing colors that happens, and you just sort of keep adding the colors that you want to mix with until you get the color that you want. All right, so we sort of created a brown there, and now we're adding this blue to it, and that gives us our dark blue right there, which is a shade darker than this part right here, which is also dried, but then we can do the bushes and the shrubs with that different blue. And we're just going to add that right in directly. I'm going to color over the lamppost there because we're going to ink that as a black. And we will continue to add these here. I'm just going to have that one come out completely behind this one. And a little bit on the other side there. And then I think we'll do just one more sweep of the darker color here to tie it all together. You can even do the stairs there, the steps with that. Okay, and we're going to, I just noticed I have a little bit of that color in there. I'm just gonna lift it out with some water and a piece of paper towel because I want that to be my highlight on the tree. And you can actually, if your tree is still wet, you can do that right now to create that highlight. And let's add a little bit more there. And we're gonna let that dry. Okay, now that our painting is dry, we're going to go over it with one more layer of the indigo blue that we made up. And we're going to put that on the shadow sides of some of these items. And we will just add a layer and see what happens here. So our light source is the moon right over here. So we're going to put our shadow on the bottom and the right side of the tree and the tree trunk. And I want to blend this out a little bit to make it softer, so I'm just going to add some water, dry my brush off a little bit, and just blend that out a little bit because I want that to be a soft transition and not a harsh line. Okay. So just push that out a little bit more. There we go. And a little bit there. And voila! We've got our shadow. Okay, then we'll do the same thing for this building over here. Add some to under the roof line of it. And onto the right side of the building here. And then just blend that out a little bit. And it needs a little bit more right there. Okay. And dry my brush a little bit and then just push that out. There we go. And the same thing for this building over here. Grab our shadow colors. So the highlight is going to be on the top of the building. So there's going to be a shadow that's cast down. Because the light is on the top and then the building is in shadow on the bottom part of it. So we'll just make that dark. Okay, and then we'll do a little bit more for the bushes. So I need to mix up a little bit more of this color. Add some yellow. And I think we're okay there. Yep. I'll do a little bit here. Like so. A little bit here because it is being blocked by that tent. And then this one's being blocked by this building here. Okay, we'll add a little bit more of that dark here. Just to make it blend together. Okay. Now, we're going to let that dry, and then we're going to do our main building here. So that has dried, and we're just going to consult our color wheel here for our color that we want to use to complement the blues and the indigos that we have going on in our painting. So if you are familiar with color theory, or if you caught my last video where we made this color wheel, this is the color that we're working with, and the complement of it is the one that's directly across from it on the color wheel. So this is the yellow and this is orange, and we made a yellow orange, which will be the most visually pleasing and noticeable color for this color that we used. So if we really want our tent and our glows, our light and windows to glow with a certain color, it was going to be this one right here. So we are going to mix up some yellow orange, and we're going to see how that works in our painting here. So this is some red that I had left over from a previous painting. I'm going to add some yellow to it, and that will give us an orange. And then I'm going to add more yellow to it to give us a yellow-orange color. And that's not bad. I want it to be just a little bit more yellow here. And we're going to test this on our piece of paper against these colors right here. And that's a pretty good color. That's a pretty close match to what we have on the color wheel. So we're going to go with that one. So I'm going to rinse my brush to get some of that color off. I'm going to dry my brush a little bit, and then we're just going to put that where we want our windows to glow. And since I didn't rinse off the brush completely, it still has that paint in it. So we're going to make our doorways and our windows glow with that yellow orange. And I'm going to wait to do the lantern, because I want to spread that out a little bit there. We're going to add the yellow orange over here, and to our door, and to the other window. I'm going to add a little bit more orange to it because I want to make the flags orange. So we'll add some red to our yellow-orange mixture that we just made up. And we'll test that out here. It can even be like red-orange, but yeah, that's not bad. I'm going to rinse my brush, get most of that color out, dry it off a little bit, and then fill in our flags with that color. And this one over here. And then I'm going to take that, that orange, and that's going to be our tent stripes color. So let's, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a layer of that whole orange over this tent, and then we're going to go add another layer of the orange after that's dried to make darker orange stripes. Okay, so we're gonna fill this in with the orange that's been watered down. And we'll take some of our yellow orange and add it to the entrance here. Okay. Here. Because we want that to glow as if there's something, there are lights on inside. And really we could have, we can blot this part out and have a little bit of a glow going on there too. So let me dry my brush a little bit here. We're going to lift some of this color out with a paper towel. Although even putting it over top like that, that does indicate a bit of a glow. But I want a little bit more of a glow than that. So we're going to lift some of that color out. And we're going to put some of this yellow orange in and just have it glow like that. I'm going to soften it a little bit by dabbing up some of that there. Okay, and I want this to be a little darker orange because it is at night. And then we'll make the other layer of stripes darker than this. And then we can also go back over our yellow orange to make it glow a little bit more, but we're going to wait for this to dry first. Okay, so our orange tent has dried. I want to lift a little bit of the color out here as well, and here to make a bit of a glow there. And so I'm just using some plain water, lifting that out. And that will make our ground glow a little bit more here with the light. Okay, and all right, so let's do the lantern glow, which will be a very diluted of the yellow orange that we already made. I'm going to lay down some water first. And I still have that orange color in my brush, so actually may not even need to add more color. Just do a little bit of a circle for the glow and dab the edges a little bit to get rid of that harsh line. And there we have a glowing lantern. I'll add a little bit more of the orange there, and because this is wet around here, it's going to diffuse into the water, and that'll give us our glow that we want for that, which will be more noticeable once we put our ink line in. So I'm going to add a little bit more orange there. I'm going to add an orange to this sign just so that way we'll be able to see what it says. And let's see, what else do we need to do here? You can, if you want, you can put a little bit of a glow on the tree also with that yellow orange and a little bit on the side. You can do that on the top of this building. And then we'll come back and add some white highlights to that. You could do that on the top of the bushes also if you just wanted a little bit of moon glow. Now, sorry, it's windy. I'm sitting in front of my bunky window here, so that's my scrap piece of paper just blew across. So next we're going to add some more yellow orange to our entrance here, just to make that pop a little bit more. We can dab just a touch, like the center maybe out, make it a little bit more. There. I don't want to turn it into mud, and if I add too much paint there, it's going to start looking muddy. I can add a little bit more yellow just to make it glow a little more, like so. Okay. And let's add a little bit more of that yellow here to that lantern. Okay, and then just gonna dab a little bit more of that out, just so it's not so harsh. There we go. Next, we're going to do our bunting here. And I think we'll just do red, yellow, and orange. I'm going to clean my brush mostly, pick up a little bit more of that red, and do every other one in red. Like that. And then I'll just go right into the yellowish orange. Do that color in there. Actually, I put too much down there, so I'm going to lift some out. Wipe some off my brush. Add a little bit more, and I think we'll just keep it to the red orange and the yellow orange. Okay, and add a little bit more of a glow here, just a little bit on the one side, a little bit there, and what's left here that we can do? If you want your little string lights to be more noticeable, you can do them also red and orange and yellow. If you have the acrylic paint, the colored acrylic paint pens, you can do these as dots later on. Okay, so we actually need to do our darker orange stripes here on our tent, and then we're going to call that an end to our painting portion of this. And let me just test that out on my piece of paper. That's not bad. And let's see, red or orange, 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 or do we want it to be orange, 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 orange? Maybe we'll do the outer parts orange. String that up there. And this one here. Okay. Got that. And then we're going to do these lines. And then the entrance. And as you can see, I just went completely outside that line there, and that's okay. This is a whimsical painting. It doesn't have to be perfect. more stripe over here. I might make this darker. And just grab some red directly from there. We got to be careful with the red. It will definitely stand out. If that's what you want, then you can do that. If you don't want it to be so noticeable, you can use a different color there. And because that is bled into the wet paint that I already have, I'm just gonna clean my brush off a little bit, and I want to have that red show up a bit more in the painting just for some more balance. And I might make that one over here red as well. Okay, and make the top of that red. All right, we're going to call the painting portion of this done, and we'll wait for that to dry completely before we ink. All right, now that our painting has dried completely, we are going to ink it. I'm using a Uniball Vision needle, waterproof, black, permanent fine liner, size 0.5 millimeters. And let's start the inking process. Now, if you had not liked this harsh, solid kind of line on the outside, if you had wanted that a little bit to be more whimsical and dreamy and soft, you can wet that and then blot it with a paper towel, and that should lift up some of that color, and then you'll have a softer background. But I'm going to leave it with the oval. All right, so if you want your lines to be more loose and wobbly and crooked, hold your pen towards the back. If you want to be more in control of your lines, you hold your pen closer to the front. I'm going to hold it closer to the back just so that way you can see the inking part of it without me blocking the painting with my hand. Probably about the middle or so. That way I have a little bit of control over it. So we'll start with the moon. And then I'm going to draw in my background. And that's okay if it goes out like that. Then we'll start here. I'm going to work my way from left to right. So that way, even though it is a a permanent marker, it can sometimes still smudge if you drag your hand through it right away. So I'm going to work from this side, the left to the right. And we'll just draw a line here as well. So that way people know it's string lighting. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to continue to do the rest of the string of lights. And that one's smudged into the wet paint, so but that's okay, it makes it glow. And there we go. So you'll notice once we put the black and the white lines in, this will make the painting stand out so much better. I'm just going to draw my ground in. There we go. And let's write this in. Enter. There we go. And we'll do our lamp post. draw that in. Under bushes. And then the bunting next. And you'll notice this is really coming together now that I'm adding the black lines. It's always nice to see this part of the painting happen. Okay. And we'll do a flag. Okay, and we do the tent stripes. Okay. So let me know in the comments below what you think of this painting and how it turned out for you if you actually did try this project. I always enjoy reading all of your comments. And the more comments I get, the more YouTube pushes out my videos, so that way other people like you who enjoy whimsical painting can get this on their homepage or their suggestions, and they will know that this whimsical watercolor world exists on my channel. Okay, and one more there. We need to do the flag. And we need to do the bird. And I still haven't chosen a name for this bird yet. I do appreciate all the name suggestions that you gave me when I asked for name possibilities for this this bird. And I have so many suggestions now. It's going to be difficult for me to pick a name, but I do appreciate getting the suggestions. And now we're going to add some white highlights with this Posca acrylic pen. And as you can see, it shows up really well on darker paint. So I actually do want to add some dots for some stars. And I think that if it was a little darker, these would be more noticeable, but they will be noticeable if you look closely. There we go. And then we're going to put the highlights on the left side here, because that's where our light source is coming from. And this one gets the highlights on the top because the moon is directly overhead. And add that there. These guys get some on this side. And you can do these as dashes or as dots. I'm just going to do them as some lines. And add a little bit more to these side. And yeah, I could do that as dots. It doesn't really matter. You can also smudge it too if you want. I'm going to put a little eye in the bird. And let's add some to this side. And add to this side of the tent. And we'll add to that side.
and this side, and then a little bit to these here. We're also going to add some white dots to the fairy lights or the string lights here. And that is going to be the end of this painting. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what kind of painting you might like to see next. And I will wish you a world of whimsy. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next painting. Bye for now.